And this is a mistake that a lot of people make. So please don't make the same mistake that I made and lose out on like a year or two of growing investments for retirement.
Welcome to the Sunday Reset. My name is Jen.
My name is Jill.
And today we are talking about our taxes, negotiating medical bills, our meal plan, and how to get started with investing.
Welcome, welcome, everybody. Let's get into it. Let's talk about our big money move.
Yes.
What did it look like for you, Jen?
Okay, so we got our taxes done. You talked about this last week. And so we actually owe money this year.
Wow.
I know, right? Because Travis's income like dipped and he got rid of his, I guess, contributions to taxes. He is at a zero. So we owe not a lot, $1,200.
Okay.
But
not great news. You'd rather receive a refund of $1,200.
Yeah, but that's usually what we get. We try to keep our refund as low as possible, and we usually fall around $1,000.
Okay.
Which we like. Not the case this year, but that's okay. But there are some things, some strategies we use to lower our tax liability.
Ooh,
and
say more.
And there were actually some things that I forgot, but every year I am reminded when PJ does our taxes, because he walks us through like what he's doing. And he asks us questions that we didn't think about.
PJ is our accountant's name.
Yeah, we share
He's a
we share
gem.
an accountant. Yes. All right. So the first thing is that we Airbnb the back of our home. And this was true even when we Airbnb'd one room in our home, which I highly recommend. The type of people that reserve an Airbnb room in a shared house is the type of person that does not plan to be there except sleeping. So we did that for years and it was great. This was pre-COVID, so I can't say what it's like now, but that was our experience after hundreds of guests. So now we live in a new home. We long-term rent our other house, just for ethical reasons. I think a house should be rented to long-term tenants. But hey, that's just me. But we made it so our house, we blocked off the back part. So 1/3 of it is an Airbnb rental.
Yeah.
And that means 1/3 of our home expenses are write-offs. So that income gets like lowered and lowered by like our mortgage, insurance, all the home things that we buy for our house. Yeah. So he writes off 1/3 of everything we spend.
Yeah, I mean, because you're making income through that and you're paying taxes on that income, so it makes sense.
And so that lowers the taxable income of that side hustle.
Right.
So that's really cool. And then we were actually able to increase the write-offs because of the hurricane. So we lost a lot during the hurricane. Yeah. Obviously not as much as people who lost their homes.
Sure. Yeah.
And we are so blessed that more did not happen. And we had to replace things because we lost 2 sheds, our fence, multiple fences because we have multiple properties. So we had to replace a lot. And again, we were able to write off a good portion of all of that.
Yep.
Because of the Airbnb.
Same thing happened with us. There's actually a tax credit that you can get for natural disasters in the year that the natural disaster occurred. If there is kind of a decrease in value of your home as a result of the different damage that happened on your home and on your property, you can kind of estimate that, with our accountant PJ really helped us to kind of talk through what were the damages and about how much did that decrease the value of our home, and take that as a tax credit. So something, hopefully that is not anybody's situation, but something to be aware of if you have gone through a natural disaster. That is an option for you during the tax year that storm happened.
Yeah. And when this comes out, you can still make changes to your taxes
Mhm.
if you haven't already submitted them. So maybe this will spring you to ask your accountant or an accountant. An accountant really does pay for itself for us.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So for me this week, this is not anything that is still resolved, but it is a somewhat money move that I was making of negotiating some medical bills that I have. I have been receiving medical bills from over a year and a half ago that they have just now sent them in the mail to me. And I knew that it wasn't the full picture of what I owed because I, of course, keep track. I've got my own spreadsheet because I don't trust these medical billing departments. So I knew that there was going to be more money owed, but I also knew that I had prepaid for some services that didn't end up happening. So I wanted to get all of the bills in my hand to be able to then compare that to what did I also already pay them for and how is it being allocated. So I've been in touch with them ever since I got that first bill from a year and a half ago saying I want all of it all at once combined.
give it all.
Asking them, because I'm in touch with you, please don't send this to collections, right? You're not going to send this to collections. And they're like, yes, because you're in touch with us. Anyways, fast forward to I talked with them on a Thursday. By Wednesday of the next week, they had sent it to collections, even though I was actively talking with them about getting everything in order, making sure that I knew exactly what I owed compared to what I've already paid. And they just still sent it to
Yep.
collections.
They don't care.
Okay, silver lining on this. The contract that they have with the collections agency is that they don't report to credit bureaus for a full year, 12 months, that you
Mhm.
have to pay that bill before it affects your credit score. And it actually puts me in a better position to be able to negotiate a settlement amount on these bills. Because a lot of them are all over the place. I would get the same service 2 different occasions, and it would not be the same amount. So there are reasonings for me to negotiate these bills, not to mention just their own error and how long it took them to get me my bills. It's an unexpected amount to need to be paying. So, anyways, now that it is in collections, I am able to negotiate hopefully an even better settlement amount than maybe I would have with the billing department themselves. So they've given me the number. I just haven't had the chance to now make this next phone call. I've been on many phone calls. This is an ongoing
Mhm.
money move for me.
Well, and actually, when we're talking about medical bills, the CFPB in January finalized a rule that would remove medical bills from credit reports.
Mm,
So, and they were gonna so I'm reading the report. They are removing an estimated $49 billion in medical bills from the credit reports of about 15 million Americans. And this rule will ban the inclusion of medical bills on credit reports used by lenders and prohibit lenders from using medical information in their lending decisions.
interesting. I have
Mhm.
heard this, but I've not seen it corroborated by anything
It's
online. So this
brand
is
new.
okay.
It
Cool.
just happened in January.
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah.
this is, I am certainly a person who believes we should pay for the services that we use. We should pay the bills that we receive. I don't ever want to undercut somebody and have them not be able to get paid for their work just because I don't feel like paying. Medical bills are a very interesting, I know, very heated, very emotional topic, but especially when it comes to people who are uninsured, underinsured, self pay, who are being hit with astronomical amounts that they just cannot afford for maybe life saving, life preserving measures. Like, I am here for negotiating these bills. I think that there is room for it. I think that we have it in our rights to be able to get it to be as affordable for us as possible, even if it means needing to negotiate some of these things on the back end. So, for those of us who just don't have the money to be able to pay for thousands upon thousands of dollars of medical bills, you got to do what you got to
Yeah. And once a medical bill goes to collections, it becomes much more negotiable
do.
magically.
Mhm.
You can get, I've done this several times and easily gotten 20% off of the bill
Mhm.
once it goes to collections.
Yeah.
So let's talk about our meal plans.
Let's do it.
All right.
How did we eat this week?
Yes. Okay. So I want to talk about a breakfast that I started introducing. So I try to do a couple low carb days every week that are higher in healthy fats because I don't
Cool.
do a lot of healthy fats. I'm a carb girl.
Ugh, me too.
And healthy fats are healthy. Like you need them.
Mhm.
So one of the higher fat breakfasts that I've started including, I've been doing a lot of bacon and eggs, but I've kind of gotten burnt out on those. So I have started incorporating protein chia pudding.
Ooh, I think
So
I saw you with some of that this morning.
yes. So coconut milk, which is high in fat, well, moderate in fat, with chia seeds, which are high fiber, good fats, and some almond milk and protein powder.
Oh, cool.
So it's a low carb, good healthy fats, filling, and yeah. So I'll link that for you guys.
Cool.
And it's a good like mix up from eggs.
Mhm.
Next, I made. So I went to Costco, and I made.
Without me?
I did.
Rude.
Well,
Okay.
I'm
That's all
sorry.
right. I have gone to Costco without you too.
You do,
It's just,
yeah.
it's such an event that usually it's announced,
Oh,
I'm going to Costco today.
I went to Costco Monday. So I went and I actually didn't want to go to Walmart too, because normally I get my produce at Walmart because my fresh produce.
Mhm.
Actually I'll get my frozen too because I don't buy organic. And all Costco seems to have is organic. And it
Yeah.
costs more than just buying it at Walmart. Whatever. But I love Costco. So I got a box of tomatoes, 4 pounds. And
Whoa.
I know,
It's a lot of tomatoes.
but I wanted to make tomato soup, like a roasted
With
tomato
fresh
soup.
tomatoes. Ooh,
Mhm.
yum.
So I did, and that sheet was just covered in tomatoes. I had a lot of tomato soup, but I'm linking the roasted
Was
tomato
it
soup.
yummy?
It was good. I think I would have, if I could have found a roasted tomato and roasted red pepper soup. That roasted red pepper soup I made a few weeks ago was perfect.
Uh-huh.
And I think I would have combined them.
Oh, cool.
So
Yeah.
maybe you don't want to use the recipe I've linked. Maybe you want to find a roasted tomato and red pepper
Yeah.
combo. I think that would have been it.
Uh-huh.
But I didn't have roasted red peppers,
Yeah.
so I didn't add them. But I added a full teaspoon of red pepper flakes, so
Nice.
she was a little spicy.
Nice. Okay, so for me this week I was going easy. This is a theme for me right now because we are in the winter time here in St. Petersburg, which means that we've got a ton of guests and we've also been traveling a lot. And so I'm just trying to keep it super simple, but I love to keep my freezer stocked with a couple of easy options. So this one that we ate this week is an overnight breakfast casserole that I had actually made at Christmas for a brunch Christmas Day and had a ton left over. So I broke them up into individual pieces and threw them in the freezer. So they were some grab and go lunches for us last week. And I am loving some breakfast for any meal. Breakfast for breakfast, breakfast for lunch, breakfast for dinner.
Actually, we did do breakfast for dinner last night.
Uh-huh.
We did sausage, eggs, jalapenos, grape tomatoes.
Because you've got 4 pounds of tomatoes to work
No,
through.
I used all the big tomatoes for the soup, but I
Okay.
also had grape tomatoes.
So many tomatoes.
And so many tomatoes.
So that was
So
really
much
great
acid.
to just have in the freezer, be able to pull out. But I've linked the recipe and I would definitely recommend it for make it, enjoy it fresh, but it freezes and reheats really well.
I love a
And is a
breakfast casserole.
very easy then just square, grab and go, throw it in the microwave.
Does this say with cornflakes?
Yeah, with cornflakes. This was what my mom would make. I don't know if it was this exact recipe, but she always made a breakfast casserole with cornflakes on top. So, of course, that's what I wanted to make this past Christmas. And it's so yummy. I mean, it's not the
Wow.
most healthy thing on the planet, but it's got that crunch on the top of it.
Whoa.
This one's a ham and cheese. I would also recommend it with breakfast sausage and cheese and just sliced bread. I did use homemade sourdough for the bread, and that was so good. So if you happen to have some homemade sourdough lying around, you need to use
Just
that.
happen.
But it is a good use for if you've kind of got bread towards the end of its life, even better. Bread close to stale for a breakfast casserole like this, prime time. Okay, we also made this Parmesan chicken and buttery couscous. So this was actually from a HelloFresh delivery because sometimes HelloFresh wants to sponsor us and they'll send us a box. So this recipe in particular was actually very good.
We
The
both
nice
made
thing
this.
is that you can just follow the recipe. You don't have to get HelloFresh. You can just see their recipe and know how to make it. But this chicken and this couscous was on point.
I will say, because we got the same one in our box, and it was the sour cream on the chicken and the Parmesan and the breadcrumbs on top of the sour cream and baked, and it was like, and then butter it was the large, I think it's Israeli couscous.
Yeah.
What?
I love the sound effects you're making for this meal. It was very good.
Much more complex than anything I would do on
Which is
my
funny because
own.
I was about to say like super easy. Like it's just chicken cutlets on a pan, some sour cream on top, and some breadcrumbs and Parmesan cheese in the oven.
Still more complex than what I would do. I am such a
We're
lazy
different people.
cook.
I'm gonna call it easy. Try it out. It was good. She also made the mouth noise about it. So
It was so good.
okay, and then the other thing that I made this past week was energy bites. This is a go-to snack for me and super protein packed. They are no bake. The exact recipe I use is in here. Although this past week I was running out of flaxseed, ground flaxseed. So I subbed hemp hearts because why not? Because I'm getting to be a little bit more confident in the kitchen and a little bit more reckless that if I don't have one thing, I just figure out what else I can substitute for it. Yeah.
Unhinged.
Eric said it was the best round of energy bites that I've made. So between just a breakfast item, post-workout snack, midday, something or other, these are super helpful grab and goes that I love having on hand. It's always sad when we run out of them. And that's what we ate. All right, let's get to our listener question.
All right, this one is from Donna, and she says, I finally have $5,000 in a high yield savings account with CIT Bank. Thank you. And now what? I'm 42 years old and I've never invested in stocks. I have no idea what I'm doing. Should I be investing this balance? Where do I start? It feels like gambling. I'm so confused. Oh, Donna. I'd love some basic info on what a self-employed person my age with no retirement plan should be doing with my income besides just saving it.
We hear you, Donna. We love this question, and it's why we're going to go through our 3 steps for beginners as far as investing goes. And the first step is a little bit of a non-investing, but it's kind of what you are doing, and that is having an emergency fund saved. Before we are investing, we want to make sure that we've got cash available to us that is not tied up in investments. So that can be for if you're just starting out, setting a goal for yourself of setting aside $1,000 is a great place to begin, but don't stop there. We do think most people need more than $1,000 for an emergency fund before you're really ready to start investing. We would recommend at least your medical deductible and or 3 months worth of living expenses saved. So for you, Donna, with this $5,000 in a high yield savings account, I think you would just have to look at your overall expenses. If you have any other savings, if that $5,000 is kind of the beginning of your emergency fund, how much more you might want to be setting aside in that high yield savings account towards an emergency fund. So we want to build that up first. You decide the amount, but we're going to say at least a few $1,000s up to 3 to 6 months of living expenses saved. Then you've got a good cushion to start thinking about where to invest the money above and beyond that.
Yeah, and you do not want to invest your emergency fund. Investing is for optimizing. Emergency fund is for emergencies. It's not for optimizing. So the best way to optimize an emergency fund is to keep it in a high yield savings account. You're getting a little bit of growth every year, maybe enough to cover inflation, and that's all you want. Truly all you want.
And we still do love the one at CIT. So frugalfriendspodcast.com/CIT. It's the one that Donna's saying that she uses, and we have that linked below.
Yeah, and if we ever change our minds, we'll change the link in the description. The second step, I think, is to learn about investing so that it doesn't feel like gambling and so that you can do it in a capacity that feels safe for you. So you're talking initially saying, I've never invested in stocks. So we hear these terms like stocks, index fund, 401k, Roth IRA, all these terms thrown around. So let me try to really briefly organize it for you.
Let's do it. Break it down for us, Jen.
And if you want a little more, our friend Charlotte just interviewed me for The Cut and has a really good article where I mention a lot of this more in depth, but we'll link that below. So a stock is a piece of a company. When you buy stock in a company, you're giving money to that company to help them then invest it and grow. When that company grows using your money, you get paid a dividend as a reward for investing in the company. So if there is a particular company or sector, like energy or technology or medicine, that you feel particularly knowledgeable about, like very knowledgeable, like you are on the cutting edge of innovation in that industry, or you are physically invested in a company, like you work for it, and you are confident in where that sector or company is going, then it makes sense to invest in a single stock in that company or sector. For 99% of people, we do not have that story. And so that's why stocks can feel a little bit like gambling, because we're not, physically or mentally invested in learning about sectors or companies. So if that's you, then we get the benefit of having a little bit of every sector, a little bit of every company, or every company in a sector through an index fund. And that's what an index fund is. It's typically the ones you'll hear most about are total stock market, which is a little bit of stock in every company on the market, or S&P 500, which is a little bit in just the 500 largest companies on the stock market. So we use index funds because they are a lot safer. You don't have to spend time learning about companies or sectors. You can just kind of be safe in knowing you have a little bit of everything. So some companies are going to grow, you're going to benefit. Some companies are going to shrink and you'll lose money, but it'll be compensated. Because over the last 30 years, the stock market has shown an overall return of 7 to 10%. We use 7 or 6 to be conservative with inflation. So that is how to make, when you have that knowledge of what you're actually doing with your money, it feels less like gambling and you know what you're doing and you can do it safely. And so you can get an index fund from any brokerage, which it's some you're buying an index fund kind of like you would buy a piece of a company, and then you put it in an account. Uh, what you can do, which is really special, is you can open an IRA, which is an individual retirement account. There's a Roth version and a traditional version, and you can put your index funds in that account and they are protected from some taxation because remember, those companies are paying you dividends, thanking you for helping them grow, and the government wants to tax that growth, those dividends that you're getting. If your investments are in a tax-advantaged retirement account, like an IRA or a 401k, you're protected from some of that taxation. As a self-employed individual, you have some options. You can open a solo 401k. Everyone, whether you're employed or self-employed, can do an IRA. So even if you are a stay-at-home spouse with a working spouse, you can have your own IRA. So you just have to have either some earned income, either by you or someone on your tax return. And that is super beneficial. Most people are going to benefit most from the Roth IRA, but it's really person to person. And when you put your investments in a Roth IRA, you are paying income tax initially when you're buying them, but whenever you are taking out the growth in retirement, then you don't have to pay any taxes on that growth.
Tax-free growth,
It's
baby.
very good, and that's why it has the lowest contribution limit of all of the retirement accounts. So that is what you are doing with your money when you are investing it. You're buying parts of companies and then you're putting them in a protected account. A Roth IRA is kind of like a checking account for your investments. And then you're letting that grow. And that's what we want to use for retirement because, yes, while it is a little bit more volatile than a high yield savings account, the returns are at least double historically. And so if you want to beat inflation, then you have to invest.
And that's the type of investing that we are primarily talking about and that we recommend for beginners, right? There's other types of investing that you can be doing that is non-retirement focused. That is not what we're talking about here. We're talking about best steps for your money once you kind of have that emergency fund set aside. And those are the types of accounts that are going to be most beneficial in retirement. You can't take your dividends out of a Roth IRA penalty. You can take them out penalty free past 59 and a half. So of course, that's retirement is when we're really going to be able to take advantage of that.
But I'll add something good about a Roth IRA. This is a little bit of a tangent, but something great about a Roth IRA is while you do have to wait to withdraw those dividends, to withdraw that growth, anything you put into a Roth IRA, you can take out at any time penalty free, which is not the case with a 401k. So if you are nervous about investing, like I don't know if I'll need this money, I don't want to tie it up for 30 years, a Roth IRA is again a great option because anything you put into it is not tied for it. We would never advise taking it out because time in the market is more efficient and more effective than timing the market. But if that is a barrier to entry for you, know that you can take out money from a Roth IRA, any money you've put into it at any time.
Yeah. Okay. And the third step is to put it on autopilot. Make sure that this is as simple, low barrier as possible. This is not something that you have to be thinking about constantly. You can kind of set it and forget it, but to be sure that you are investing the money that you do put into the Roth IRA. The Roth IRA is kind of just this holding place for your money, but then you have to be investing it. That was a mistake that I made when I first began. I opened up a Vanguard account, opened up a Roth IRA, set up automatic withdrawals from my checking account into this Vanguard Roth IRA account, but never determined or told them what to be investing in. And this is a mistake that a lot of people make. So please don't make the same mistake that I made and lose out on like a year or two of growing investments for retirement. But once you do set up that automatic payment into your account, you are also able to automatically have that account invest in whatever index funds you want that to be investing in and walk away. And
Yeah.
every single month, this is going to be happening. Money is withdrawn, put into the account, invested.
Yeah. So an IRA is an account, and you can have both cash and investments in that account. And so that's a mistake a lot of people make. A lot of people make it with their rollover. I made this for a year. I rolled a 401k into a traditional IRA, and I forgot to invest it. So it just sat there as cash. So then you have to buy investments with the cash in the account. So for Vanguard, what that looks like, if you can do an IRA. There are a lot of good companies. There's Vanguard, Fidelity, Schwab. You can use an M1 or a Betterment. Those are robo advisors, but I use Vanguard. And so what that looks like, I looked it up this morning, is on the menu bar, you go to transact and then automatic investments. And then when you're choosing, you want to go to auto invest, not auto withdraw. Auto withdraw will just take the money from your account and keep it in cash inside the Roth IRA. Auto invest will take the cash and then automatically invest it. So just remember that they have made it so much easier. It was a lot more confusing 7, 8 years ago when I started.
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier now. But that is transact, automatic investments, auto invest, and you can choose the account and what you want to invest in.
And just begin. Even if you only have $20 to be putting away monthly, something is better than nothing. And so, but also then keeping a pulse on when can you increase that. So being able to go in following some of those same steps to increase the amount that you are auto withdrawing from your checking account over into your IRA account monthly, you can increase that. Up until the point where you've maxed it out for the year, which is great. But always be looking for opportunities to then be able to max out those IRAs.
Yeah.
So to review, you want to set up an emergency fund first. You decide what that's going to be, whether it's your medical deductible, 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses, knowing what you're investing in, identifying if it's going to be a Roth IRA, traditional IRA, 401k, 403b, to identify what's best for you. Again, we've linked the article that Jen did with the cut that can kind of provide a little bit more information on those different types of accounts. And then you're going to put it on autopilot. This doesn't have to be something that takes up a ton of your time and energy. So thanks for being here, everyone. We hope that this helped you feel a little bit more confident about investing and just cooking for this next week.
Yeah.
If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button. We're coming at you every week for a Sunday reset. And if you have a question for us that you'd like us to answer, fill out that link below. We'd love to hear from you.